How crazy is it? It's already been a month of the 2019-2020 NBA season, and we have seen a lot of surprises. We've seen the rise of Dwight Howard and his redemption story. We've seen Andrew Wiggins step up his performance, the rise of the Phoenix Suns and Aaron Baines. We've seen so many storylines of this season that it's kind of surprising. We've seen the Houston Rockets with James Harden and Russell Westbrook actually mesh, and they have a very good record. We've seen the decline of the Portland Trail Blazers. We've seen them pick up Carmelo Anthony, and now we're going to see how he plays. But here are 7 things that we have learned so far from the opening season. If you haven't seen on this channel, we've done the 7 things that we learned from the preseason. We've done 7 things that we've learned from the first week, and now we're doing 7 things that we have learned from the opening month. So with that said, if you enjoy these types of videos, be sure to smash that like button. Let's see if we can reach 1,000 likes on the next video. If you're new around here and you enjoy these types of videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button so you never miss an upload. With that said, let's get on to the video. At number 7, the rise of Dwight Howard. I made a video regarding Dwight Howard and his redemption story a few weeks ago, so if you want to see a more in-depth video, you can go and click that. But basically, we all know Dwight Howard has been a huge success story in this season. He's put up numbers off the bench that we really didn't expect of him. And I was one of the people that was really excited to see Dwight Howard not only back on an NBA team, but if you go through past videos, I was really excited to see Dwight Howard on the Lakers. I think it's the perfect way for him to redeem himself, and we have seen that so far. He's actually controlled the narrative, which is something that we don't normally see from NBA players once they're declining. He's averaging 7 points off the bench, 7 rebounds as well, but the best and most amazing part of this story is his defense. Obviously, he was coming off a pretty horrific injury last season that only allowed him to play 9 games, so for him to still have the ability to jump and rebound and actually have some of his athleticism back at the age of 34, it's really exciting and it's really fun to watch. He's averaging 1.6 blocks per game, and this is coming off the bench. And just being sparks off the bench, giving energy, which is exactly what Dwight Howard needed. He needed good playmakers like Rajon Rondo and LeBron James. But one of the biggest reasons why I think Dwight Howard has been a success story this season is because he isn't needed of anything in particular. He's only there to be an energy player. He's only there to do what he does best. He doesn't need to do any more, doesn't need to do any less. He just has to play his role to the best of his ability, which is exactly what the Lakers needed and exactly what Dwight Howard needed at this stage in his career. So number 1, I'm happy for him, and number 2, it's an amazing story. And let's hope Carmelo Anthony can do the same on the Portland Trail Blazers. At number 6, the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns coming into this season, well, to say the least, they weren't expected to do anything this season. The fact that they got Ricky Rubio, made some suspect draft choices. Most people, including myself, predicted that the Phoenix Suns would be one of the bottom teams in the league. Now, of course, it's only 11 games in, and I really don't expect the Phoenix Suns to keep this up. But nevertheless, they've gone out there, showed heart, showed determination, and showed a winning mentality, which I can't say for a lot of other teams at the bottom of the Eastern and Western Conference, like the Chicago Bulls, the New York Knicks. To me, these teams were on the same level as the Phoenix Suns, and teams like the Charlotte Hornets and the Phoenix Suns, they've really risen and showed that even if you're a poor team coming into the season, at least if you show heart and determination, NBA fans will actually like what you're doing. Even if you won't finish in the playoffs, and even if you're not going to compete at this high of a level, the Phoenix Suns are still a young team, but they've brought in a culture where they have a winning mentality. Devin Booker is an all-star level talent, but guys like Aaron Baines has stepped up. They've really utilized Ricky Rubio to help shift some of the load off Devin Booker as a playmaker. And they're doing all this without DeAndre Ayton. And Ayton, if you didn't know, can actually play the 4. So him and Baines can actually work simultaneously together once he gets back. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's a possibility, leaving them with even better defense, and that could also be good for the Phoenix Suns. Plus, Kelly Oubre's playing alright, so they're looking okay, and they're looking a lot better than a lot of people expected. At number 5, the Kendrick Nunn story. Kendrick Nunn has been one of the biggest surprises, and I've made videos on him as well. We don't need to get too into it, you already know. He's an undrafted rookie. He's a guy that nobody expected to come out the league firing like this. Now, obviously, he started the year incredibly, and then he had a few rough games in between, but the fact that he's been able to bounce back, even as a rookie, has been something to marvel at, considering he was undrafted, and he wasn't a second overall pick like Ja Morant, and obviously, if you're looking at the Rookie of the Year race so far, you would probably put Ja ahead of him, but Kendrick Nunn has been one of the biggest surprises, and something that we've learned that we didn't know at the start of the year. He's putting up 18 points on 15 field goal attempts per game on 47% shooting from the field, 38% from 3, 84% from the free throw line, and he's also been really good on the defensive end, going for a lot of steals and not fouling. He averages 1.6 steals per game and only 2.6 fouls per game. So he's a great defender, he's an incredible scorer, and he was undrafted, which makes his story even better. At number 4, Luka Doncic and his historic start. Really, we knew he was obviously going to be an incredible talent. He won the Rookie of the Year last season and he was always going to win it. Although Trae Young really came out firing towards the second half of last season, it was Luka Doncic's year. He could have been an all-star even as a rookie, the first player since Blake Griffin. He's the guy that obviously came into the league as an incredible talent. Playing in the EuroLeague, he was an MVP and a guy that really showed that he had the skill and capabilities. But we didn't know how it would translate to the NBA. He's only in his second season now, but he's putting up incredible stat lines. 28.5 points per game, 9 assists, 10.7 rebounds, 82% from the free throw line, 30% from 3, and 47% from the field. The one knock on his game so far is probably his turnover ratio. He averages 4.6 turnovers per game, which isn't great, but the fact that he can average 28.5 points per game and almost average a triple-double in his second season in the league is just insane. He's putting up historic stat lines. I mean, if you just look at his last game, he scored 42 points, 11 rebounds, 12 assists, and hit the dagger to seal the game against a pretty tough San Antonio Spurs team. Honestly, the way that he is playing, he may just be the greatest 20-year-old NBA player ever. Now, that is saying a lot, and obviously you can put that into perspective against a lot of other players in the league. I'm not comparing him to anybody, just the way that if you look at NBA Twitter, he gets compared to LeBron all the time. I think that's way too unfair. But what I will say is the way that he's playing right now, the fact that he's 20 is just insane, averaging 28 points per game and almost averaging a triple-double. Enough said. At number 3, the James Harden-Russell Westbrook experiment is working. If you look at the stats of Russell Westbrook and James Harden, they don't look incredible. Obviously, James Harden has had the most incredible stretch over the last few games. Russell Westbrook has not really, but it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, they're winning. And that was the biggest question we all had going into this season. At the moment, they are currently sitting as the second best record in the Western Conference. They're sitting 11 wins and 3 losses. The Lakers are sitting at 11 wins and 2 losses. So they're really not far behind the best team in the league. And at the moment, they're on an 8-game winning streak. So no matter how Russell Westbrook is playing, no matter how James Harden is playing, together as a team combined, this is really good news for the Houston Rockets, and at the moment, they're looking like they can be very, very tough playoff contenders. And the best part about it for a Houston Rockets fan is that only through 11 games in with this record, I don't even think that James Harden and Russell Westbrook have even meshed yet. So once they, and if they mesh, this could be really scary for the rest of the NBA. At number 2, one thing that we have learned is the Golden State Warriors' demise. Now, this has really been unfortunate, but the main part I want to talk about is Draymond Green. He's been a Defensive Player of the Year, he's been an All-Star, but when looking at this season, without other superstars and without other talent, he really hasn't been anywhere near an All-Star level player. In fact, I won't lie, I will go as far to say that Draymond Green has been overrated. And I will make an entire video on why Draymond Green is overrated, but maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh. He's not a guy that I would ever call overrated as a system player. He plays his role extremely well. He does things that a lot of other players are not willing to do. He can sacrifice, which in the NBA, a lot of players will not sacrifice. With Draymond Green, I do not discredit what he has done. With that said, I do not believe he is an all-star level talent. I don't think you can compare Draymond Green with other all-star level talent because he's never really been that good. Obviously, he has been a great defender, but I also partly contribute that to the fact that he had other players on his roster that were also great defensive-minded players that allowed Draymond Green to play defensive, if that makes sense. They had guys like Livingston, Andre Iguodala, Klay Thompson, and even Kevin Durant was a pretty solid defender as well. These guys allowed for Draymond Green to be good defenders too. When it was earlier, it was Andrew Bogut, who was actually not bad of a defensive player either. When looking at it today, Draymond Green is averaging 0.3 blocks per game, which is really, really bad, considering that his career average is at least 1 block per game. And when you look at the fact that he's a defensive-minded talent, but he's only getting 1.3 steals per game this season, it's not that good. In addition, offensively, he has just been horrible. He's averaging 8.8 points in 29 minutes, shooting 38% from the field, 28% from 3. In Draymond Green's last 6 games, he's scored 4 points and 5 rebounds on 25%, 6 points and 8 rebounds on 28%, 4 points and 7 rebounds on 28%, 10 points and 1 rebound on 40%, 11 points and 11 rebounds on 50%, which is probably his only decent game, 7 points and 6 rebounds on 20%, and the Warriors have gone 0-6. Now, I don't blame Draymond for going 0-6, but the fact that he hasn't really performed shows that maybe he has been a little bit overrated throughout his career, but I can make a separate video really going into that if you guys want to see it. So let me know down below if you want to see that. And at number 1, the rookie class of the 2019-2020 NBA season has been phenomenal. And this has been without the number 1 pick in Zion Williamson, who was meant to be the next best superstar of the league. Even though Zion's been injured, this rookie class has been phenomenal. Honestly, I will make a separate video regarding the rookie class of this season, but I think honestly, it could be one of the best that we've ever seen. Not in terms of the all-star level talent that we may receive, but in terms of the depth. We've been able to get undrafted rookies like Kendrick Nunn, but even 2 of the other top 3 picks in Ja Morant, who's been phenomenal, RJ Barrett, who has been the really only bright light for the New York Knicks. And then you look at guys like Eric Paschall for the Golden State Warriors, who's been a surprise. Rui Hachimura, who's been playing really well for the Washington Wizards. We've seen Darius Garland play okay. Kobe White hit 7 threes as a rookie in an NBA game. PJ Washington has been a surprise. Tyler Hero is playing really well for the Miami Heat. Matisse Thybulle for the 76ers has been a great player as a defender. He's a lockdown defender who's been really solid for the 76ers. And at the end of the day, we might even see guys like DeAndre Hunter, Jarrett Culver, Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish all turn out to be decent players, because some rookies obviously need a little bit more time and some need time to develop, and it depends what team they're on, the system they're in. So I reckon this rookie class has been phenomenal, and that's what I've really loved so far about this season. Let me know what you think down below. Those were 7 things that I've learned so far from the 2019-2020 NBA season. If you guys had any other suggestions, there's obviously a lot. There's the way that Andrew Wiggins is performing. There's the way that Paul George has inducted himself into the Clippers, averaging really high numbers. So it's just been a really great season so far. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button, put the notifications on, and don't